So the Sonos Ace are a great first try from Sonos. However, the Sonos Ace do struggle to keep up with your staples like the Sony 1000 XM5s or the Bose QC Ultra from a performance standpoint. However, somewhere where the Sonos Ace really does well is build quality. So today we're going to see how the Sonos Ace stacks up to your more premiumly built headphones like the AirPods Max and the Bose Wilkins PX7 S2s. So first, there's pricing. Now, like I just said, all of these headphones are more premiumly built, which is going to mean that they're going to have a more premium price tag. Now, the Bose Wilkins PX7 S2s currently retail for $400, which isn't super premium these days because a lot of headphones are retailing for $400 now. But the Sonos Ace have a retail price of $450, and then there are the AirPods Max, which retail for $550. And I feel that the AirPods Max are just status symbols for people that just don't know any better. Nonetheless, if you're going to pick any of these headphones up, they'll be linked down below, or you can always press on the YouTube shopping button. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up some merch. We have trucker hats, snapbacks, and shirts, and everything is printed on higher quality products, so they're gonna last you a good while. And by buying merch, that helps us produce more independent versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's bought a shirt or a hat, and let's get subscribed. So first, there's the case. Now, all of these headphones have a lay flat design to them, which means all of these headphones are going to have a larger footprint to them when they're in their case. Now, both the Sonos and PX7 S2s come included with a great hardshell case that's going to do a great job of protecting your headphones if you're traveling with them. Now, the Bose & Wilkins case here feels more premium and more sturdy. However, the Sonos case here is easier to travel with because this case is surprisingly thin. So even though this case has a large footprint to it, it's still easy enough to throw into your backpack. Overall, I really like both of these cases. But then there's Apple's case, and I have said this since day one. I think that it is unacceptable that Apple includes this so-called case with their headphones. If you plan on traveling with these headphones, they're going to be mostly exposed, or you're going to have to pay separately for a case, which I feel is ridiculous given the price of these headphones. But with the cases out of the way, let's talk about the headphones themselves. Now, something that all of these headphones do very well is build quality. Now, the Sonos Ace has the most plastic surfaces here. However, the plastic on the ear cups has a slight soft touch feel to them. We have chrome arms, and the headband on these headphones has a lot of padding to it, and the leatherette feels very nice. The Sonos Ace are the most conventionally built headphones here, whereas with the Bose Wilkins PX7 S2s, with these, the amount of plastic that you touch is very little. The ear cups and headband have these large fabric wrapped surfaces. The ear cups also have exposed metal on them, and this metal extends into the headband arms, and both the headband and ear pads on these headphones are wrapped in real leather. Now, the leatherette on the Sonos Ace feels nice because it feels very supple and there's a slight grain to it. However, real leather just feels nicer, especially when you get your juices all up in them. And finally, there are the AirPods Max, which also have amazing build quality. You've got these large exposed aluminum ear cups, we have chrome arms, the headband is wrapped in silicone, and this mesh canopy is perhaps one of the coolest things about the AirPods Max because this canopy provides an extremely comfortable fit and it doesn't retain any heat. But one of my biggest critiques about the AirPods Max are the ear pads. These fabric ear pads also do a great job of not retaining any heat. However, I do find that these fabric ear pads do get pretty itchy after a while, so they aren't my favorite. But also, with all of these headphones, you can easily remove their ear pads, which is good either for cleaning or if you want to replace them. The only thing is, the ear pads on both the AirPods Max and Sonos are magnetically attached, whereas with the PX7 S2s, these are clip-on, which just isn't as elegant. Overall, all of these headphones are very well built, and one of their main selling points is their more premium build quality. However, the more premium materials on these headphones means that they're going to weigh a little more. Now, for comparison's sake, your staples like the Sony 1000 XM4s weigh in at 255 grams, the Bose QC Ultra weigh in at 254 grams, the Sony 1000 XM5s weigh in at 250 grams, and and the Bose QCs weigh in at 235 grams. And I think that all of these are great options that you can't go wrong with. But with the Bose & Wilkins PX7S2s, these weigh in at 307 grams, and the Sonos weigh in at 312 grams. So with both of these headphones, you're going to be a lot more noticeable when they're on your head, because you really feel them shifting around on your head when you're walking around with them on, and you never really forget that you're wearing them if you're sitting at your desk or while in bed. But nonetheless, both the Sonos Ace and PX7S2s are doable. But then there are the AirPods Max, and these things weigh in at 380 grams, and I feel that these things are just overweight. You never forget that you're wearing them, and their weight does get uncomfortable after a while. And when it comes to overall fit, the AirPods Max are the least comfortable headphones here, particularly because of their weight. They also have the most clamping force here, and like I mentioned earlier, their fabric ear pads can get itchy. Whereas the ear pads on the Sonos and PX7S2s don't get itchy, and they're a little more spacious. But the ear pads on the PX7S2s are my favorite here because they're the most spacious, and since they have less surface area than the Sonos, they retain less heat. Overall, both the Sonos Ace and Bose & Wilkins PX7s are more comfortable than the AirPods Max, but the PX7S2s are the most comfortable headphones here. And when it comes to tech specs, the AirPods Max do struggle here quite a bit. When it comes to battery life, the AirPods Max have an advertised battery life of 20 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, which is very below average for a pair of premium ANC headphones in 2024. Whereas with both the Sonos Ace and Bose & Wilkins PX7S2s, they're good for about 30 hours of playback time with their ANC turned on. And with all of these headphones, you can always extend their battery lives by using them with their ANC turned off. And to charge these headphones, both the Sonos and PX7S2s charge via a USB-C port as they should, whereas the AirPods Max charge via a Lightning port, which isn't as convenient as it used to be if you use an iPhone 15 or newer. But the important thing here is that none of these headphones have an audio jack. However, with the USB-C port on both the Sonos Ace and PX7S2s, you can use it as a wired connection, and they also come included with a USB-C to audio jack cable, so you can still use either the Sonos or the Bose & Wilkins with a wired connection if you're on an airplane. The only thing is, even if you want to use these headphones with a wired connection, they have to be powered on. Whereas with the AirPods Max, you can also use these headphones with a wired connection. However, if you want the privilege of using your AirPods Max with a wired connection, then you do have to buy Apple's Lightning to audio jack cable, which is sold separately. And like I said with the case, I feel that it is unacceptable given the price of these headphones. But I guess Sonos and Bose & Wilkins just don't have as much courage as Apple. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, both the Sonos and PX7S2s can be connected to any two Bluetooth devices at the same time, regardless of ecosystem. So you can easily hot swap from one device to another. Now, with the AirPods Max, you can also hot swap between one device to another, regardless of ecosystem. However, the AirPods Max are better suited for an Apple power user that's going to be hot swapping between multiple Apple devices. But when it comes to overall performance, all of these headphones have zero latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. But with the Sonos, I have noticed some random disconnects here and there, so hopefully Sonos can fix that through a future firmware update. Now, when it comes to audio codecs, the AirPods Max only have support for SBC and AAC, which is fine because iPhones top out at AAC. But with these other two headphones, they have support for SBC, AAC, and aptX. Just keep in mind that if you do want to use aptX, you do have to be an Android user. But finally, let's talk about actually listening to music with these headphones. Now, first off, I don't really like how the Sonos Ace sound because these headphones lean towards a very bright sound signature because they put a lot of emphasis on the vocals. And as a result, the instrumentals can get lost and the bass on these headphones is very underwhelming because there isn't much physicality to it and it doesn't resonate all that much. Now, you can always go in and adjust the EQ on these headphones, but if you're looking for bass from these headphones, you're not going to get much out of them, especially when compared to these other two headphones. Personally, I can only recommend the Sonos to people that feel that Bose's headphones have too much bass. But then there are the Bose Wilkins PX7S2s, and these are actually one of my favorite headphones to listen to music with. These have a much more balanced sound signature to them, and they sound a lot more open than the Sonos because they don't put as much of an emphasis on the vocals as the Sonos. And more importantly, the instrumentals have a lot more detail to them than on the Sonos. However, these also don't have a lot of physicality in their bass, but the bass on the PX7S2s does resonate deeper and cleaner than the bass on the Sonos. But finally, there are the AirPods Max. Now, I constantly roast the AirPods Max because they have their issues, but these headphones also sound great. Basically, the AirPods Max sound and perform very similar to the Bose & Wilkins PX7S2s. However, these have more kick in their bass, thus they give you a more fun and more dynamic listening experience. I just feel that their treble is a little too high, but overall, the PX7S2s are my favorite sounding headphones here, and the AirPods Max are also up there because these have more kick in their bass. Whereas with the Sonos, they aren't my favorites because they put so much of an emphasis on the vocals and the bass is very flat on these. Now, when it comes to the media controls, all of these headphones are using physical buttons. Now, the PX7S2s has your standard 3-button layout, and the AirPods Max has their crown. But I think the Sonos Ace has the most elegant media control button because you can press this button up or down to adjust your volume, and you can press it in to skip through your music. And all of these headphones have wear sensors, so when you take these headphones off, they'll automatically pause your music, and when you put them back on, they'll start playing your music again. Now, personally, I don't really care for wear sensors on my headphones, so I usually just turn them off, but they're there if you want them. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. Both the Sonos Ace and AirPods Max block out a lot of noise, which is great, but they both have a lot of cabin pressure. And let's just say the ANC on the PX7S2s isn't as strong. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to go ahead and jump into an ANC test. So like we have just seen, you shouldn't get the Bose Wilkins PX7S2s if active noise cancellation is very important to you, because the ANC on these headphones is more similar to the ANC on, let's say, the Sony Ultra. But then there's the ANC on both the Sonos and AirPods. Now, I feel that the AirPods Max block out a little more noise than the Sonos in general, but the problem with these two headphones is that they have noticeably more cabin pressure than your staples like the Sony 1000XM5s and Sony 1000XM4s, or Bose QC Ultra and Bose QC. So with this added cabin pressure, you're going to feel some discomfort on your eardrums, and you might even feel a little disorientation when walking with either the Sonos or AirPods. But I do feel the Sonos have a little more cabin pressure than the AirPods Max. But then there's the ambient mode on these headphones, and the AirPods Max easily take the win here. The ambient mode on the AirPods Max is so good, it sounds like you're not even wearing headphones, whereas the ambient mode on the PX7S2s sounds very artificial, and the ambient mode on the Sonos sounds like you're underwater because people's voices sound muffled. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, all of these headphones have a decent enough sounding microphones on them to take phone calls with while in a quiet room. But the Bose & Wilkins PX7S2s do have the overall worst performing microphone here. Now, I do feel the PX7S2s have better clarity than the Sonos Ace while in a quiet room, because with the Sonos Ace, there is a little bit of static in the background. But the AirPod Max have the best clarity here while in a quiet room because this microphone really likes to focus on your voice. And the AirPod Max also do the best job here of dealing with noise pollution because right now this microphone is doing a great job of reducing all of this road noise, keeping my voice front and center. Because for comparison's sake, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this road noise. But if we were to switch back over to the AirPod Max, it is severely reduced and my voice is front and center. Now, the Sonos Ace also does a really good job of dealing with this noise pollution, and these are actually blocking out more road noise, but my voice doesn't sound as clear. And then there are the PX7S2s, which aren't blocking out all that much road noise, but you can still understand me pretty easily. However, when it comes to blocking out chatter, there is a lot of interference going on with my voice, and it can be a little harder to understand me. And when it comes to the Sonos, these are trying to block out this chatter, but again, there is a lot of interference going on with my voice, and it can be hard to understand. And finally, here are the AirPod Max, and again, these are trying to reduce this chatter, but it's still a little hard to understand. However, I do feel that these have a little less interference than the Sonos. Overall, all of these headphones have a decent kind of sounding microphone that makes it phone calls with while in quiet room, but I do think the AirPod Max are a little bit better. But with all that being said, all of these headphones excel when it comes to build quality. All of these headphones feel more premium and more luxurious than your staples from Sony or Bose. However, I do feel the Bose & Wilkins PX7S2s are the best built and most comfortable headphones here. The PX7S2s feel more premium than the Sonos because of the real leather and fabric and metal touch surfaces, and they're more comfortable than these other two headphones because they're much lighter than the AirPod Max and their earpads don't heat up as fast as the Sonos. I also prefer the PX7S2's more balanced sound over the Sonos, and the PX7S2's have much better battery life than the AirPod Max. However, the PX7S2's really fall short when it comes to active noise cancellation. Now, I also really like how the AirPod Max sound. They block out a lot of noise, and their ambient mode is the best one out there. However, there are too many compromises with the AirPod Max that just makes it hard for me to justify them. And then there are the Sonos Ace, which have less compromises than the AirPod Max because they fit well, they have good battery life, and they come with a good case. But personally, I'm not a fan of their bright sound signature. Their ANC has a lot of cabin pressure, and their ambient mode sounds very muffled. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.